Cool.
You
All
wanna
right. So which one do you want to do now?
let's talk about Xbox.
Okay. All right. So
So
again,
the, okay,
going. You go ahead. You start off.
no, I was just gonna say. So they started off pretty good with the Dev Direct,
Yeah.
right? They showed off Hellblade, Trials of Mana, uh,
I think Aura, History Untold,
yeah, Aura,
um, Indiana
maybe.
Jones, right? They started out with Indiana, but they didn't do a release date.
Oh yeah, they did show that one. Yeah, they showed that one off too. That's where they like
And then
unveiled the
Shattered.
gameplay.
Did they show off Shattered Space as well in that one, or was that different? Was that a different
No,
one?
I think that was the
Okay,
June showcase.
gotcha. Okay,
So they started off pretty strong and then immediately
couple
hit
after, like maybe
a
not
couple
even a
weeks
couple weeks.
after. They had like huge layoffs, and there was all this talk of games going over to PlayStation,
Yep,
of like first party games going over to
Halo,
PlayStation.
Gears. I mean, the internet was on fire with all this
Yeah,
stuff. It was
the
it was
floodgates
insane.
were open. Yeah, and then of course that was followed by what Grounded, Sea of Thieves,
Pentiment
Pentiment,
and Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, all going to PlayStation 5 and a couple of them going over to Switch.
They had that weird little podcast they had to kind of talk about that stuff, and Phil was, you could tell that there's going to be more games, but he was like, it's just these four,
Right
and
now.
then yeah, for right now. And like, I mean, the writing's been on the wall, that stuff. I mean, as someone who's followed Xbox my entire life, you know, I'm not upset. Like, I don't, at the end of the day, like, I just want to play great games, and I don't really care where
We
I
care
play
where.
them. I want to play where my friends are at, if I'm playing multiplayer. Um, because I've never been a huge fan of like exclusive, especially third party exclusives. Like, that's always kind of annoyed me, like Final Fantasy and stuff like that. Like, come on. And obviously this year we just talked about PlayStation having like Silent Hill 2 could have easily been on like Xbox, and Black Myth is supposed to be coming out next year. Who knows? Um, so that's a little frustrating. But yeah, I mean, we got the 4 games that they announced, and I think they all did relatively well on the other platforms. Um, and then later on we got the kind of the surprise announcement that Indiana Jones is coming, to PlayStation in March of or early 2025.
Yeah,
So that's a huge first party game, and also it's a licensed game, so that makes sense.
they've got to make their money on that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think all this stuff in the future, like I could see PlayStation putting like something on Xbox. I just think it's inevitable at this point. These games just cost too much. And for stuff like Spider-Man that costs 200, 300, 400 million plus, and you got to pay licensing fees to Disney and Marvel, you got to make up that money somewhere.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe Disney, maybe they said something to Xbox and they said, look, you got to put Indiana Jones out on PlayStation to get more money. I mean, MLB The Show did that back a few years ago with PlayStation. That was a PlayStation exclusive. They told PlayStation that they had to move it over to Xbox to get more revenue, and they did. So I think this stuff is inevitable. People are going to have to just suck it up at the end of the day, but it's still weird. Like whenever they, like Gears of War E-Day, I think could absolutely be on PlayStation for like same day, because it's you don't need any context of the originals. Like, it's a prequel story, so you can kind of just dive in fresh. I think that's the perfect game to start this initiative. But when Halo goes over, and I think it will, that's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird, but cool, but weird.
So we have all that. And then, of course, more bad news. Xbox shuts down Tango Gameworks.
Yep. Devastating.
Even though Hi-Fi Rush was critically acclaimed.
Yep.
And sold well by their standards, apparently they still shut the studio down.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of Game Pass, is to have these smaller games be, critical darlings that maybe is not going to sell multi-millions of copies, but it kind of just pads Game Pass with these smaller, incredible games, and it's like it incentivizes people to actually subscribe to Game Pass. Now, obviously, they probably looked at the numbers and they probably didn't do anything in the grand scheme of things. And this game had no marketing. It was a shadow drop in 2023. But still, and also like the Evil Within 2 is like one of the greatest survival horror games ever made, and it's a damn shame that we'll never get. Well, at least we'll never get with Tango Studios at the helm.
Well, they were bought, right?
Were they bought? Tango Studios?
I think they were like carved out and bought.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
They bought like Krafton.
I think it was Krafton. It was a few months later, so I don't know how much of the studio talent they salvaged. That team, yeah, I think they did form a new team. I think you're right on that.
Yeah,
but obviously,
okay,
Xbox holds the IP for Evil Within, so maybe we'll see it one day. But still a shame.
But still shitty for Xbox to do something like that. And then, God, have any games come out by this point? This is like April, right? When Tango shut down. I don't know.
Yeah, because Hellblade came out in May.
Yeah, Hellblade came and went. Very short experience. It was a great game, but
great game. Yeah, I loved Hellblade a lot. But again, it was very short, and it took like 6 years to make, and it was a 5-hour experience. Like you said, just kind of came and went.
I wouldn't be surprised if they closed down Ninja Theory.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that in the past. I think their technology with their audio is like too important to let that studio go. Yeah, is their saving grace. So I mean, I don't see them. I mean, anything's possible, obviously, but I think their audio tech is too good to shut it down. They can spread that across all their studios. But yeah, I mean, again, if they were tomorrow were to announce their closure, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
Well, what are some positives out of Xbox this year?
I mean, Game Pass was pretty good. There's a lot of Game Pass games. I didn't write any of those down for like the third party stuff. But they had a lot of good Game Pass games. They had the Series X. I'm sorry, what?
Their June showcase was really good.
Yeah, that was good with the Gears of War getting announced and a whole bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I mean that's always the case with Xbox. It's always everything looks good in the future. We're in the present and there's nothing good, really. Yeah. We had the Xbox X and S revisions this year, kind of the increase in gigabytes for the Series S, and then we had the Galaxy Edition, I guess, for the Series X. Phil Spencer did mention that there is a Xbox handheld in the works, but still possibly years away at this point. Who knows? But going to the games, first party games, we've got World of Warcraft: The War Within, Age of Mythology, Aura: History Untold, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, Black Ops 6, Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Shattered Space expansion, Did Towerborn come out this year?
I think it's in beta on PC.
It's in beta, so that's in beta. Indiana Jones comes out next week, so we don't know. Review-wise, we don't know much about that game. And then Hellblade 2. Am I missing anything first party wise?
No, I think that's it first party wise. And I think just immediately the shining light out of all those is Call of Duty.
Exactly. Yeah. This is probably the best Call of Duty in a very long time, and I don't know how much Microsoft had to do with that one since they just purchased the last year. But this one just happens to be really, really good.
So lucky them, I guess. And I'm sure they've made a shit ton of money from.
Oh yeah, I mean Game Pass subs are up. They probably sold so much on PlayStation. Yeah, it's definitely a good investment on their part for that. But I mean, for me personally, looking at all this stuff, I mean, we talked about Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 was good, but it kind of came and went. It's a single player game, very short. I don't really care for World of Warcraft, Aura, and Age of Mythology. I'm not a big uh, RTS fan. Never played
Mhm.
Diablo 4, just for whatever reason, just haven't tried it. Black Ops 6 is obviously great. Flight Simulator, I tried to boot it up and it was rough. It looked worse than 2020. I think forcing people to use the cloud is not a good idea. Just give people an option to download it if they want to.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Shattered Space, I didn't even try.
Didn't hear great things about it.
Yeah, didn't, and honestly, yeah, didn't hear great things about it. So in my opinion, a pretty weak year yet again for Xbox. Next year should be good, but we'll see.
And yeah, and I know Stalker 2 isn't first party. I did try that out
Stalker
for
2,
about an
yeah.
hour the other night, and I just couldn't get into it. It really like peeves me off when like or peeves me. I probably
Peeves
said that
me
wrong.
off.
It peeves me when first person games feel clunky
Yeah,
to control. And Stalker 2 definitely feels very like counterintuitive and clunky. And then on top of that, the game is like kind of brutally difficult as well. So
yeah.
it's a little bit frustrating. And maybe I needed to get further into the game, but it kind of just felt janky. I wasn't into it.
Yeah. So
So
that's what I've heard.
yeah,
Either you're really into Stalker or you're really not, and that's kind of like there's like no in between. I do want to try it just for the sake of trying it, because I've heard good things, but like you said, I mean, there's so much things that could turn you off of it, and if you're not not
mhm.
into that survival sim kind of game, it's probably not for you. Um, so all that being said, Nick, I mean, controller wise, I mean, A plus, right? So many controllers, so many colors, so many variants. It's been a good year. I'll go first. I'm gonna give them a D. I think it was a pretty underwhelming year. Not even mediocre. It's pretty underwhelming with everything,
Yeah, I would agree. I would
especially
give it
with
a
the
D.
news.
Yeah, especially with the news and then their cadence of releasing games is just atrocious. Like not having
Yeah,
anything until May and then having such a long gap between May and really until like until October when Call of Duty came out. Like it felt
yeah,
like they just have nothing in the first half of any year. And
yeah.
they
It's
always
pretty
talk about,
rotten.
oh, we need to have like a big game every quarter. We need to have a big game every quarter. Maybe you shouldn't have pushed Avowed back. Maybe you should have left that one. I don't know, put that in like September or something like that.
And see, and like when with going into the holiday, I was like, okay, we've got Stalker 2, we've got Flight Simulator, we've got Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones, and now I'm like, well, Flight Simulator was pretty mediocre. Stalker 2 wasn't as, it didn't hit the way people thought it would. It's like Avowed, we could have used Avowed, but
Could have used Avowed.
we don't really know what's releasing next year and like what the dates are. So, I'm happy to have Avowed, and it seems like it's previewing pretty well. So I'm excited about that. I could definitely go for like a first person kind of like fantasy game
It
right
also has
now.
third person.
And third person, yeah, but the third person's always like,
It's a
little
little janky.
little janky. So that looks really good. I'm excited to try that. But yeah, just another very underwhelming year for Xbox, and I want them to have a bounce back year. It's kind of like the Cowboys for the NFL. Every year is their year, and it just never is. So
It's never their year, and they
never
always
their
claim,
year.
yeah, they always claim it's gonna be, such a great year. And like you're right, Game Pass was really great. We got another Crab's Treasure on there.
Oh yes,
Uh,
yes.
I don't know what else came out on Game Pass, but like Game Pass is
Um,
kind of like this perpetually good thing
yeah,
that
Lords of the
always has
Fallen came
games.
out on there.
Oh yeah, yeah, Lords
Um,
of the Fallen.
they've had a bunch of stuff on there this year. That's all been pretty good. So yeah, Game Pass itself has always been really good with their cadence of releases. There's always at least one game a month that I'm probably gonna at least try. Maybe not
Mhm.
finish or beat or anything like that, but there's always something to play. So I mean that's always cool. But yeah, first party wise, just
Just didn't hit. And
2025. We'll see.
And we just need a year without shitty Xbox news.
Yeah, that too. Like, yeah, I just really hope that, you know, Gears comes out and it's really good. It's really good. If it has multiplayer, assuming it will, hopefully they've got that figured out. Like, hopefully the multiplayer just works without any launch issues. Like, yeah, we'll see.
Hope Fable's good. Hope South
Fable,
of Midnight actually turns out well. Hope Avowed is good. I mean, they have these games coming out. You just don't know if they're gonna actually be.
You just don't know anymore. Like, you would just assume that they're going to be great from years past. You know, back in the heyday of Xbox, and now it's like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because like when you see a PlayStation game, it looks high quality, right?
Yeah.
And like
PlayStation and it
usually is, and
like
yes,
even Concord, like Concord was quality game. Like there was nothing physically wrong with it. It didn't run poorly. It was optimized. It was there was no network issues that I read, but it was just an underwhelming game. Like it just wasn't appealing to a lot of people. So thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll let YouTube algorithm pick one of my videos below for you guys to watch. Give it a click, and I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.